What if I told you that everything you're chasing, success, happiness, security, is part of a game you were never meant to win? The harder you grasp, the faster it slips through your fingers. Alan Watts spent his life unraveling a paradox so deep, most people never recover from hearing it. The person trying to improve themselves is the same person who needs improvement. The hand cannot grasp itself. The eye cannot see itself. The mind cannot escape itself. Today, we're diving into one of the most unsettling truths about human psychology. A truth that, once seen, changes everything. This isn't self-help. This isn't fixing yourself. This is waking up to the game you've been trapped in your entire life. Welcome to MindX. Stay with me. This gets strange. Act 1. The backwards law. There's a law in the universe that moves in reverse. Watts called it the backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue something, the more it runs from you. The harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become. The more you chase happiness, the faster it mutates into anxiety. The tighter you grip water, the faster it escapes through your fingers. This isn't poetry, it's engineering, the architecture of human suffering. We live in a culture obsessed with self-improvement. Be better, be stronger, be more disciplined. But Watts pointed out the trap. Who is improving whom? If you're both the sculptor and the marble, the teacher and the student, you're not improving, you're looping. Imagine standing in a room trying to lift yourself off the ground by pulling on your own collar. You can strain, you can believe, you can swear it's working, but the physics don't care. It's impossible. And yet, this is what we do psychologically every single day. We set goals, we make resolutions, we say, tomorrow I'll be disciplined. Tomorrow I'll be calm. Tomorrow I'll finally be enough. But tomorrow is a mirage, because the person making the promise is the same person breaking it. Watts saw it clearly. You are the problem you're trying to solve. But here's the twist. This insight doesn't create despair. It creates freedom. Because the moment you see the game, the moment you realize that trying to control the mind with the mind is like trying to bite your own teeth, something loosens. The war stops. Not because you won, but because you stopped fighting yourself. The backwards law reveals the real mechanics of suffering. Resistance creates persistence. Whatever you fight strengthens. Whatever you avoid follows. Whatever you fear grows teeth. The addict trying not to think about their addiction thinks only about it. The anxious person trying to relax becomes anxious about being anxious. This is the trap, the loop, the psychological treadmill we're all running on. And most people never even realize they're on it. Act 2. The illusion of the separate self. But the trap goes deeper, much deeper. Watts identified the core illusion that fuels human suffering, the belief that you are a separate self, sealed inside your skull, staring out at a hostile universe. Close your eyes for a moment. Where is you? Most people point to their head, behind the eyes, like a little pilot in a cockpit, the ghost in the machine. But is that really where you are? Your sense of self is a story, a narrative so convincing you never question the narrator. You think you're inside your body, controlling it. But Watts understood something far more unsettling. You don't come into this world. You come out of it. You're not separate from nature, you are nature. The universe expressing itself as a person, the same way the ocean expresses itself as a wave. Think about a wave. Does it exist apart from the ocean? Of course not. The wave is the ocean, momentarily shaped into a form. When it crashes, it doesn't die. It simply changes shape. The ocean didn't lose anything. You are that wave. The universe is your ocean. But we don't feel this. We feel alone, isolated, cut off. We build walls around the thing we call me, terrified of what might happen if the walls come down. Watts called this the skin-encapsulated ego, this idea that your skin is a boundary. But your skin isn't a wall, it's a membrane, a bridge, a point of connection between you and the world. Every breath you take is the atmosphere entering you, becoming you, leaving you. The oxygen in your blood was created by trees. The carbon in your bones was forged inside dying stars. Where do you end and the world begin? There is no line. There never was. But the ego doesn't like that. It needs enemies. It needs threats. It needs problems to solve so it can validate its own importance. Because if there is no separation, no me versus everything else, then the ego has nothing left to defend. And that terrifies it. This is where the shadow deepens. Because the ego, in its desperate attempt to protect itself, creates all of our psychological suffering. Anxiety is the ego fearing futures that don't exist. Depression is the ego replaying pasts that are no longer real. Anger is the ego insisting the world obey its preferences. Loneliness is the ego believing it's fundamentally separate. The ego is a guard dog that doesn't know the house it's protecting burned down years ago. It barks at shadows, it defends illusions, it fights battles that only exist in its imagination. And in doing so, it keeps you imprisoned inside a self that doesn't exist. Act 3. The eternal now. So, if the ego is an illusion, and the separate self is a story, where does that leave us? It leaves us here, in the only moment that has ever existed. Now. Watts had a phrase that cuts through centuries of philosophy. The eternal now. Not now as a flicker between past and future, but now as the only reality that has ever been real. The past, a memory occurring now. The future, an imagination occurring now. This moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this awareness is all there is and all there has ever been. But we don't live here. We live in our heads. We live in stories. We rehearse conversations that never happen. We fear futures that never arrive. We cling to pasts that no longer exist. We treat the present like a waiting room between us and some future's salvation. I'll be happy when I succeed. I'll rest when I accomplish everything. I'll feel whole when I'm better. But when those things arrive, they arrive in the present moment, and immediately the mind moves the finish line. The carrot stays out of reach, by design. Watts said most people commit a kind of psychological suicide, killing the present moment in the pursuit of a future that can never be attained. We're like donkeys chasing carrots tied to our own backs. No matter how fast we run, the distance remains the same. But here's the twist. The present moment isn't something you need to achieve. You can't find it. You're already in it. You've never been anywhere else. You have never been in the past. You have never been in the future. You have only ever been here. Watts pointed out a painful irony. The thing that makes humans brilliant, self-awareness, is also the thing that makes us suffer. Thought, thinking about thought, consciousness watching itself, the snake eating its own tail. But when you truly see, not think, not believe, but see, that this moment is all there is, the grip of anxiety loosens, the weight of regret softens, the noise quiets. What's left is simply being. Not bliss, not perfection, not some enlightened state, just raw, unfiltered existence, the hum beneath the chaos, the part of you that was here before the ego learned your name. Act 4. Letting go of control. So we arrive at the part no one wants to hear. The truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You are not in control. You never were. This isn't despair. This isn't defeat. This is clarity. Think about your body right now. You're not choosing to make your heart beat. You're not consciously digesting food. You're not directing your immune system. You're not manually firing the neurons that allow you to understand these words. All of this is happening through you, not by you. Even your thoughts appear on their own. You don't choose what thought arrives next. You don't know what you're going to think 5 seconds from now. The thought simply shows up, and the ego jumps in afterward to take credit for it. This is the uncomfortable secret behind free will. The you who thinks it's making decisions is just narrating what the mind and body were already doing. The ego isn't the pilot, it's the sports commentator, giving play-by-play after the ball is already in motion. And this is where people panic. If I'm not in control, why do anything? What's the point? But Watts turned the question on its head. Who is asking that? The ego, terrified of losing the illusion of control. But life doesn't stop when the ego relaxes. Life keeps happening. Decisions still arise. Actions still unfold. The athlete performing at their peak isn't thinking. They're not controlling. They're not micromanaging every movement. They're flowing. The musician lost in the music isn't calculating every note. They're disappearing into the moment. This is what Watts called wu-wei, effortless action. Not laziness, not passivity, but action without resistance, action without the ego's interference, action without the inner narrator strangling the moment. You can't force this state. You can't try to let go, because trying to let go is just another form of control. The harder you try to release the rope, the tighter you clench it. But you can see the mechanism. You can watch the ego grasping, defending, planning, fighting. And in that seeing, sometimes, the grasping stops on its own. Not because you stopped it, but because the illusion dissolved when you looked directly at it. The sun doesn't banish the darkness by fighting it. It just appears, and the darkness vanishes on its own. Seeing is the light. Control is the darkness. In closing, Alan Watts spent decades pointing to the same truth, using different metaphors, different stories, different angles, all trying to get us to look in the same direction. The separate self is an illusion. Control is an illusion. Time, at least the way we imagine it, is an illusion. When you strip those illusions away, what remains? Just this, just now, just being. Not as an achievement, not as enlightenment, not as some spiritual prize for good behavior, just the simple, profound fact that you are the universe experiencing itself. Through these eyes, through this breath, through this moment of awareness, you are not a stranger in a hostile world. You are not an isolated consciousness trapped in a body. You are not a misfit searching for meaning. You are meaning. You are the event. You are the process. You are the wave returning to the ocean, and the ocean expressing itself as a wave. The game you cannot win? Stop playing it. Not through effort, not through discipline, but through recognition, the quiet seeing that the game was never real to begin with. If this shifted something in you, if you know someone wrestling with control, anxiety, perfectionism, or the endless pressure to improve themselves, share this with them. Not as truth, not as doctrine, but as an invitation to look for themselves. This is MindX. Like, comment, subscribe for more journeys into the depths of the mind. And remember, you're already whole. You always were.